Hello.
Hi, everybody. My goodness. Now I'm really nervous. There's like over 150 people on here. Okay. Hi, everybody. My name's Melissa Mszaeda, and I'm going to move my Zoom thing down so I can see this. But you guys are able to thumbs up? Are you guys able to hear me? Yes. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
Good.
yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Um, I have to preface this is the first time that I'm actually doing a Zoom meeting. So if there's technical difficulties, I apologize about that. I'm gonna mute everybody right now. I see that there's a mute button here so that, and you guys can unmute yourselves at some point to, talk, but just in case I know that it helps to cut down on background noise. And there's still some people joining. My goodness, there's a lot of folks. All right. So I'm just letting the rest of these folks get into this meeting. Yes. All right. Um, so I apologize if there's any technical difficulties. Again, this is my first time like doing a Zoom meeting and I am a little nervous. There's a lot of people on here, but I'm glad that we're, reaching a lot of folks because what I'm going to tell you guys is pretty important.
Well, and I
And
am here to help you as
what's that? Did you just say, sorry, Aaron, did you just say something? I think you started to talk and then I think I muted you.
yeah, that's all right. I said, and of course, I'm here to help you.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that. All right, you guys, I don't know if I have, like with the Zoom stuff, do I have to keep like hitting admit all? Because if there's other people that come in while
As they want to get in, yes, you need to hit the button.
I just have to keep hitting that. Okay. All right. Then I'm gonna move that Zoom thing over here. And then I'm gonna pull up, I do have some notes that I want to kind of make sure that I, say everything that's necessary. So hang on. There's other people that are still joining it. So it keeps
Yeah,
saying,
they'll be doing that periodically for quite a little while. So if you want
okay,
to start the meeting and then periodically just hit the button to let people in, that would be great.
okay. All right, I'll do that. All righty. So anyway, again, my name's Melissa Mszaeda, and I am an owner of a qualified organization. So I'm a support coordinator, and I have been a support coordinator since the beginning of the Waiver program. So since 1993. So I started over 31 years ago, and I sent an email out a couple of weeks ago regarding this Zoom meeting, and what prompted me to do that was because I was fielding a lot of phone calls and emails and texts from people that had said that, after the election, that they were terrified or freaked out or very worried regarding what was going to happen to the waiver program and the CDC program and just Medicaid in general and that sort of
Managed
thing. So,
care as well.
I'm sorry, what?
I said a lot of people are also concerned about managed care as well.
Absolutely. Yes. So, and I have I'll give you guys some information regarding the managed care as well with this, but and I don't want to take up a lot of your time this evening. I know everybody's very busy. So, but I am going to go through what it is that I have. So, again, I've been a support coordinator since the beginning of the waiver program. And I've been in so many homes, rural, suburban, nice homes, barely livable trailers, a lot of different situations, and but all to help with serving people with developmental disabilities. And one of the things I could tell you is I know I already see like a number of people on here that have known me for a long time, and other people who, have known me for a short time. And some of you I've never met, and you have no idea like who I am, but can assure you that the reason why I'm doing this is because I care a lot about you. I care a lot about your family. Some of the same people I've been serving since I was in my 20s, and I've gotten to, be able to follow them throughout the years and help to try to ensure that they're in, good, solid, healthy situations that they're happy with. And I want to see that continue. And again, what Aaron just said about like managed care, that being, I know that that's a concern of a lot of people, but in the email that I sent out, if you didn't get it and you just received this link, my email said this. I'm going to just read this real quick, that we need to educate legislators that there's a differentiation between disabilities and developmental disabilities. And if they don't understand that distinction, and if only a few legislators hear it from only a few people, then the people on the CDC slash iBudget waiver or Medicaid waiver are going to get lumped in with the millions of people in Florida who have disabilities and the millions of people on Medicaid. And we have to make sure that our legislators understand that there's a difference. We need to stand out, and the families and the folks that are served by this program are the absolute best way to help the legislators understand the needs of their constituents with developmental disabilities. I had also put in the email that it's not going to be enough for people like me to just advocate. It's going to require, the people of the program educating our legislators. And I have become much more legislatively involved over the past few years. I've learned a lot from the experts, the, people that have been legislators for a long time, also lobbyists that have been involved, and people that are, in agencies that do have a large presence in Tallahassee. And we already have some momentum. There's already a number of, families who have been, advocating in their own communities and stuff, working with their legislators to try to help bring about good change for the people of this program. But there's still a lot that needs to be done in Florida. And unfortunately, oftentimes when people hear Medicaid, they kind of automatically assume that we're just talking about some, person, some loser who's just decided that they don't want to work and they just want to live off of the system. And that is not the case with our folks, with people with developmental disabilities. There's, as far as to help, I hope that you guys can appreciate the statistics that I'm going to give you right now, but there are over 4.5 million people in Florida that have a disability, but there are less than 36,000 people on the CDC and Medicaid waiver program in Florida. And the Agency for Persons with Disabilities only serves people with developmental disabilities. That name is kind of misleading. It shouldn't be the Agency for Persons with Disabilities. It actually should be the Agency for Persons with Developmental Disabilities, because those are the only folks that that agency serves. With the people that are on the waiver and the people that are on the wait list, there are less than 62,000 people served by APD. So again, I want to remind you, the statistic for people with disabilities in Florida is over 4.5 million. And APD, the Agency for Persons with Developmental Disabilities, serves less than 62,000. But a good chunk of those folks are on a wait list, and the rest are on the waiver. So less than 36,000 people. The people that are on the waiver and CDC, that less than 36,000, every single one of those folks needs to have Medicaid in order to access the services, in order to access the budget. They're at the height of COVID, Medicaid enrollment, which was December of 22. There were over 5.5 million people on Medicaid in Florida. 5.5 million Medicaid recipients in Florida. On the waiver program, we have less than 36,000. And I know that there are people that are on this Zoom that have been affected by the Medicaid unwinding. Our folks have been caught up in the unwinding that the feds then gave. I'm sorry, I hear my dog in the background. The feds gave the states the go-ahead to unwind the people from Medicaid that were added on during COVID. Even though our folks have been on Medicaid prior to COVID, they have been mixed in with all these people being unwound. Just my agency alone, we have had since January 352 people who have been taken off of Medicaid that we have had to fight to get back. It's been such a struggle to get that back. In the meantime, those folks are still receiving services from providers, but the providers aren't being paid. And the providers can't just abandon this person. They have to continue to provide services, but with their Medicaid not being intact, the providers aren't getting paid. So it's causing a serious strain to the system. I had a meeting on Monday with the head of DCF, the secretary of DCF, and the Senate President's office regarding this issue because I've been complaining about it or advocating about it, I guess, since January of 2024. There just been so many people that are just like unceremoniously removed from Medicaid, and it's like, wait a minute, their providers need to be paid, and the amount of time and effort that's going into restoring that Medicaid has been absolutely monumental, and it's causing the families to worry. And when a child's Medicaid is shut off, they can't get their therapies and stuff. That's a huge stress for parents of little kids, and they can't have that. So I've been trying to really, work with them on fixing this issue. But what I learned on Monday is that the Department of Children and Families and the Agency for Persons with Disabilities are not really communicating about the people that are on this program in any sort of an effective manner to actually help with fixing this problem. This is a very fixable problem for less than 36,000 people. And those two state agencies are really not working on it in a way that's effective. So we have to, educate the legislators about that. We're hopefully going to be able to, bring that to an end soon. But in the meantime, what I would like to make sure that you guys are aware of is a couple of things here. We put the legislators into office. Well, I haven't run for office. I don't know many people who have. And so when we elect these individuals and they go into these offices they become senators or House representatives, they're not just in charge of like all the rules and the laws and the legislation that, they write up that we then have to live with, but we're also telling them that it's okay for them to handle our tax dollars. And one of the things that we want to make sure of, and this is an assignment for everybody that's on this call, is we have to make sure that those legislators understand that there is a difference between a developmental disability and just a general disability. Rheumatoid arthritis, lupus are disabilities, but they are not developmental disabilities. And we want to make sure that the legislators understand that. People with developmental disabilities are a special niche of the disability community. So we want to make sure that they understand that. Back to the whole thing with the tax dollars. I have, over the years, I have heard families tell me that they wish that they didn't need to be on this program, that they wish that they didn't need it. They wish that they didn't have a family member who needed it and who relied on it. And I understand that. I get that. A lot of people they feel badly asking for help. They wish that they didn't need that extra help, that they could do it on their own, but they need the help because there is no private sector solution to help with the ongoing care that somebody might need. So the year before last, I don't know if everybody is aware of this, but you guys contributed to $55 million that went to horse breeding and horse racing in our state. So you guys authorized that in a way because even though you didn't approve it, you actually put the people into these offices, you elected them. And I did too. I'm including myself in that group. And we gave them the power to decide what to do with our tax dollars in our state. And 55 million of it went to horse breeding and horse racing. And then last year, 500 million went to toll road relief. Now, I live in Sarasota County. We don't have one toll road here. We don't have any in Manatee County. We don't have any in Charlotte County, the counties that, and DeSoto, the counties that surround me. Our closest toll road is going to be like the Suncoast Parkway or Alligator Alley. But in order to access that toll road relief, you have to have more than 35 tolls a month. That's not the average everyday Floridian. But if you think about who does use a lot of 30, or who's going to incur more than 35 tolls in a month, That's going to be companies
But I
like
have the
Amazon
bank. Are
who
you for
deliver.
dying?
No, it's not dying. If you want to charge it, charge it.
I think somebody's like mute.
Melissa.
Okay. Okay. So that is that money, that 500 million, which is a half of $1 billion. And that's something JJ Holmes, or JJ and Allison Holmes are on this, but that was something that JJ kept bringing up at delegation meetings last year, was that a $500 million was allocated to toll road relief for users that had more than 35 tolls in a month. Now, the lobbyists that got that money for horse breeding and horse racing and the toll road relief, those lobbyists were paid by these corporations to go to these legislators and lobby them to have them approve that kind of money for them. So they didn't have a problem with asking for a handout, and they paid those lobbyists, maybe, 100,000, a couple 100,000, but they got millions in return. And so, you guys, we are the lobbyists
Right.
for people with developmental disabilities. And even though we're not being paid to do this, this is something that we're asking them to allocate particular tax dollars to our folks,
So
to
if
the
I can,
services that they
Melissa,
need.
one of the things that she definitely is trying to make sure you all understand is, as a group, just the people that are on this Zoom meeting today, as a group, if we get a group like this to go up to Tallahassee during session, when they're talking about disabilities, when they're talking about funding, when they're breaking down the money, it is very important that there is not just the normal people that go up to Tallahassee, like me, like her. I see some different faces on this screen that also are good advocates. Trisha Riccardi, you've done a lot. Tom Nurse, I mean, I see a lot of different people, but it takes everybody. It doesn't just take a few, it takes us all. So listen to what she's saying, and then just remember, when we start sending out newsletters and things about legislators, meetings that are going on, different things, sometimes a busload of people up in Tallahassee makes all the difference. It just truly, truly does. And go ahead, Melissa. Sorry.
That's okay. No, that's fine. And also locally as
That
well.
as well.
So one of the other things that, we spend our money on is animal testing. Millions of dollars a year go to that. I would rather all of that money go to our folks. That I think it would be better served, better used than going to, animal testing and stuff. So when you get legislators to understand your situations and stuff, they and I had a few of them say this to us last year. They didn't realize like how hard things were. They didn't realize how bad things were. And I've had a couple of parents that have said to me, they're like, why don't they know? How couldn't they know? Why is it that we have to tell them how hard it is? And my question back to you, basically, or back to them, is why should they know? How
Mhm.
could they know? If they're not taking care of somebody at home with a developmental disability, or they are not in the field like me, how in the world are they supposed to be able to really understand what's going on out there in your home, in your day-to-day existence? They don't. And since they have so many other people that are coming to them wanting things from them, like money for toll road relief, horse breeding and horse racing, since they have those people in their ears and in their offices, we have to push those guys out of the way and,
Yep.
and get in with them. And one of the things that I have learned since starting to really be more involved in this is that you can get these legislators to be our champions. If we get them to advocate for us, for like I include myself in that, but for the families, for the people of this program, if we get them to be our champions, be your champions, then they're talking to each other up in Tallahassee. If it's only a couple of people, a couple of times here and there, it's not going to be a hot topic of conversation up there, but the more of them that have their constituents
Yep. And the
speak
more
to
they
them.
have the information in their ear, the more they're hearing from you
Right.
over and over, sending emails, making phone calls, showing up and talking to them, scheduling appointments with them. Again, they work for you. So you call their office and just keep bugging them. They're going to talk to you. They're going to listen to you. And again, Tricia put on there, about the Capitol Awareness Day. So that's another good thing for everybody to show up to. And I just can't stress enough. The more you go up there and the more you talk as a big group, and we will truly, we'll put different events and dates together for people to go do this because the more, the better. It's just the more they hear the ear in their ears, the better off it's going to be in the long run. Tom, you
Melissa,
have something to say?
absolutely. You know, the local legislative delegation meetings and the ability to develop a relationship with your local legislator to ask them to help you by helping government work as it's supposed to is the constituent services part of building relationship. If they don't know that you've been waiting 9 weeks to get an email back or whatever, you've just been lost in the madness, when you can show them that, teach them about that, ask them for their help, they instead of just complaining and just asking for money, we're helping them be stewards of the public dollar by delivering the services that have already been committed to. And I think it's important, particularly right now, that people build those relationships and get those commitments to support developmental disabilities, med waivers, and the funding and the stabilization of it. And it appalls me, Melissa, the number of that you talked about of families and situations you've had to address, and you're talking to the Secretary of DCF, and they tell you they're not communicating with APD, but nobody picks up the phone and fixes it that day. That to me is still appalling.
It's criminal. Actually, that's what I said when we were on that meeting, that,
I can see that
what
Peggy
has happened.
Adams here has been wanting to say something very badly. You have to unmute yourself for a second, Peggy.
Sorry about that. I mean, I'm
That's
like
okay.
so excited about this because I've been talking about this for about a year, knowing that this was coming. As mixed up as they are, and they make all the, they make us jump through hoops on fire, but
Yes, they do.
we could all spend a year talking about that stuff and But my question is this. Who, I think we need to form a group that has a name if you don't have one already, because we will be more recognizable if we make a name for ourselves.
We do have different groups like that have names out there already. So anytime you guys want to send an email back, from the newsletters that you might get from me, or if you just need to talk about something, you can always call the office or send an email if you want more information, when meetings are going to be, who to talk to, different things like that. I don't mind helping in any way, and I'm sure Melissa doesn't either.
Okay,
And
so
you
what,
know, we had the For the People, for all the people group last year, and we had some of the most significant, impactful legislative changes. JJ and Stephanie Norton were
Right.
recognized on the legislative Senate floor as a premier bill. I don't think we're starting from scratch here. I
No.
think we have to go
Yeah.
continue to build the relationships, continue to show up with solutions and answers, and activate people to engage their local legislators in making sure rural and underserved populations is a place where those people will fight harder if they know what may be available. Because I
Exactly. And
can tell you,
you got to remember that, legislators, they go into office, they go out of office. They don't always know exactly what's going on when it comes to the med waiver program. I've had many of them that have thanked me for letting them know all about it and what's happening with it so they can look into it further. I mean, it's, they got to be schooled as well a bit.
my question is, can we all come under this umbrella of For the People? Because it'll give,
Yes, yeah, yes. They
it's
already
already
have that
going on. It's
going,
very
so
well
you might as well
established.
use the same name and keep it
I didn't
just
know
going as well as it can.
if you could,
And that link can be shared. It's for all the people. It's every Friday. It's now starting the first year will be that. It's really Melissa was instrumental in stirring that whole hornet's nest and activating just a ton of us parents, some of which had come out of hiding almost to to meet and connect, and we were fortunate to have a high profile in connecting with the Senate president in a genuinely heart-tugging experience and story. But the truth is, everybody's got a story, and
Exactly.
everybody can build a relationship. And we are, it galled me to be bragging at the State of the State address of the $20 billion surplus we had, while people are still struggling and still denied and still on the pre-enrollment list and all these kinds of things. But the truth is, I think when you make it human, and it's not, and it's about, I live 3 miles from where you live. I need your help asking a legislator, particularly when they're new, for help.
So are we talking only state legislatures or federal, Congress?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Because, like, for example, I happen to know Lauren Book I know her since she's a little girl. We were neighbors. I always reach out to her when I have a problem or like want her to do something. So is that what we're doing? We need
Yeah,
to,
we really need to reach out to all the different legislators. It's important that when you go up to Tallahassee, what I normally do is I'll go up there with a group of people. Then we'll go ahead and we'll have it all planned out, and we'll go to this person's office, this person's office, this person's office, and so on and so forth, and try and see as many people as you can. And the day of the Capitol, that's a great day for that, and and to have lots of groups of people. So it's just when we do different events at the Capitol, or we plan different meetings or groups to go out there, we just need the following to help support it. And remember, by doing that, you're helping yourself, you're helping your neighbors, you're helping the community as well. Because it's
But
kind of, we all stand
the,
together and make things happen that way.
the legislative language, the solutions, that stuff's starting now.
Yeah,
That is happening
It's
now.
already been started.
yeah.
It hasn't ended. So when, like last year after like the legislative session was over, I've continued to meet with legislators and at their district offices and stuff. And now we're getting ready to go into delegation meetings. I feel that dealing with the decision makers and the deciders and the people that can actually really make things happen is very important, and that needs to be part of the strategy. Yes, it's good to go to people that are new and whatnot, but they don't have much power and they don't have a
No,
lot
of
of
course.
clout. Yeah, but dealing with people like our Senate president, our outgoing Senate president, Kathleen Pasadoma, our incoming Senate president, Ben Albritton, the different people that are going to be in those top positions. Danny Perez is our Speaker of the House that's been sworn in. He has a brother with autism. Also Tracy Davis, who's a senator from Jacksonville, from Duval County, has been a wonderful champion for our people. She's one of the deciders and decision makers this year. So making sure that we focus on those people is very important. And going to the delegations is also something that is super important, and those are local. If like Sarasota County's delegation is coming up on the 16th, and I would love to have a group of people that are going. I already know that there's going to be some people who are going to be there, but I don't want it to just be the family members. The people that are served by the program, they need to see the people that are served by the program. The people that have Down syndrome, the people that have autism, the people that have cerebral palsy, the people with spina bifida, they need to see the folks that are being served and
It is
not just
important that
their
they see them.
what?
It's very important that they see them.
Yes, it's very important that the folks accompany families. And I understand that sometimes it's very difficult to get people to come over there. I am working with the young man who is behind organizing the whole thing with the delegation. It's Andrew from Representative McFarland's office. I told him that we were having this meeting today, and that I would try to find out if there's anybody in particular that would like to speak there. We will get those speaker forms in because they were already due on the 2nd, and we'll get those in, and then, people can talk. But I want to be strategic about what is said. We don't need everybody going up there and saying, like, all the providers are terrible. We don't need that. We need somebody or somebodies, a couple of people to talk about how bad the Medicaid disenrollment was for their situation. It would be great to also talk about the providers and the improvement of providers, the improving of the provider base. That's something that people want. There was money that was proposed this past year in the Senate, $50 million to help with the onboarding for a new or increasing the workforce for the providers of the waiver program. I would have accessed that. Other, personal support, companion, day program. Everybody would, well, not everybody. There would have been guardrails on it, but you would have been able to access that. So you were able to hire the workforce and be able to train the workforce to be able to provide the service to the people that are on the waiver program and being added onto the waiver program. I had testified 5 different times in front of the House and Senate that it didn't matter how much money they were going to dump into the programs. If there weren't enough support coordinators to receive them, they weren't going to go anywhere. And now they're finding that out. That's what's happening. There's been a number of emails that I've received from APD begging us to take cases in particular counties because they don't have any support coordinators, but we're too busy dealing with the Medicaid fiasco that's been created by DCF. And so until that is fixed, I can't even think about hiring a new support coordinator to help out with getting clients in those counties that are coming off of the wait list. And that's what I want to do. I want to be able to hire support coordinators. I don't want to have to continue to do this administrative nightmare for Medicaid. So making sure that we are strategic in what it is that we're going to talk to them about. Also, for anybody that's in Sarasota County, in Representative James Buchanan's area, if you're a constituent of his, I have a meeting at his office this coming Monday on the 9th, and I would like several families to go with me to that. I can't bring a whole ton of people because it's a smaller office, but I want to be able to do that. Also, January 8th down in Collier County, Stephanie Norton was instrumental in getting this, and I was able to firm it up. But Senator Pasadomo's, or I'm sorry, the Collier County delegation is from 9 until 2 that day, and then we have that room, the County Commissioner Chamber, starting at 2:30 through 4 o'clock for basically a private delegation for us, for people with developmental disabilities and their families. It's not for providers. So if you're a provider, please don't think about like you're going to come there and you're going to talk to them about what your provider needs are. That's not what it's for. It is strictly for families and folks that are being served by the waiver and CDC program. We want to make sure that we're getting what I'm going to make sure that I'm working on getting across to them is about having that, compassionate conservatism. We want to spend the money in an efficient manner for this program. And last year, APD had a surplus of over $800 million. And somebody who's on this call, who's, very high up in, serving for people with developmental disabilities, had told me that years ago, if a state agency hadn't spent close to their allocated amount, that they would be considered inefficient. I would consider an $800 million surplus an inefficiency within that state agency. And the fact that there's become such a bottleneck in being able to help get the people off of the wait list, and they should be doing that. So having the folks there so that they can see the people that are actually being served by the program and not just hearing about the people that I've been serving all of these years. They see the people that I see in front of them. That helps to make it much more personalized. And that's exactly what I really want everybody to do. I know that it's a big ask, but going to your local delegation meetings is, at least it's local. I know I would love for everybody to be able to, storm the Capitol and we'll be able to, like get up to Tallahassee. But I know that that's a big ask for it. But I know that we could have a number of people that will be able to commit to doing that and will go up there and, meet with these legislators. But the more that they see us, the more that they hear from you, the more that they see the people, then they're going to do something about it. If they only hear and see from a couple of us, a couple of people, it's very easy to ignore. Nobody is going to just knock on the door and be like, hey, what can we do to help you guys out? It doesn't operate like that. We have to help educate them, and we don't have to be jerks about it or anything like that. We have to just make the issues known. That's what they need to hear. That's what they need to say. So the onboarding of providers, very important. Fixing the Medicaid issue, very important. And we want an efficient, good, solid state agency that's going to actually serve the people of the program in the way that they should be served. But when you have it where these two state agencies, APD and DCF, APD has the folks on the program, DCF is who is in charge of getting the Medicaids approved, and they're not communicating with each other. I'm definitely going to be bringing that. I have been. I've already been like putting that to the forefront. That is going to be one of the top things on my list until that is fixed. I mean, everything's just kind of stymies it. Our incoming Senate President, Ben Albritton, has said that he has the heart to help, that he wants to do that. The ARC meeting that Alan Abramowitz was running yesterday, one of the things that he said on there, and I think that you guys could recognize this, that during COVID and when they had delegations and stuff, and they were trying to push, the vaccines and mandatory vaccines and stuff, they had about like at one delegation, he was saying 150 people showed up against that. And they took notice. And then the legislators started to do something about that. As far as managed care is concerned, I have been told by the people behind the scenes that the object has been that this will eventually all go to managed care. Anybody that is on Medicaid right now that's on this program, you guys, if you have not received a letter, you will be receiving a letter that you're being added to a managed care program. Now, if you've had straight Medicaid and now you're being put on a managed care program, you have to then opt out of it if you don't want to be on it.
And the
Can I
managed
speak to
care
that for just a
program is
second?
being tested in certain areas at the moment.
But what we're talking about here is that historically there has been a carve out of developmental disabilities that have been excluded the whole time from managed care. And this is really quite a move
Let me
to
get a piece of paper.
automatically
I write
move
things about
everybody
Mr.
to
Kelly.
managed care unless you know to opt out. And so the issue is it automatically is happening.
Don't just three bigger bags with one with chicken
Melissa,
and
you're gonna need
with
to mute.
double.
So you're saying that we are now not in we're considered in regular.
The letter that went out says that they're going to find providers and you're going to be automatically switched over. And when that happens, that's just when you're supposed to tell them, no, I still want to stay for the Medicaid state plan fee for service. Because one of the challenges we're running
That's not
into
something that's going to be happening right away, mind you.
but it's an automatic
It's supposed to be
yes.
effective February 1st. So
That's pretty quick.
I have a handout. I will send it to you guys. It's from ACA. It's a 2-page explanation. Actually, I could probably and I do encourage you guys to look in the chat. I'm looking in the chat. There's definitely some good websites in there that have been put in there and links. There's a Facebook group, that sort of thing. So I would look at that, but I'm gonna see if I can. I don't know if I how to attach stuff in there. I'll see if I can figure it out. If not, I'll send it out in the email. But there's a 2-page thing that ACA has put together, the Agency for Healthcare Administration, that explains about being added to managed care and that you're able to opt out of going into it. So that's something that you guys need to be aware of. Also,
And it seems to be something that not only you have to be aware of, but it's something that needs to be communicated that what changed when developmental disabilities historically has always been carved out. When did it suddenly become, well, actually, it's not, you have a chance to go to managed care if you choose. It is, we have taken away the choice unless you pay attention and jump through the right hoop at the right moment for that not to happen. So I think it's very important that we keep an eye on that because managed care rates for providers are lower than they are for Medicaid. So people that are already struggling to work at Medicaid state rates are being asked to take less in managed care programs, and that's creating massive provider capacity shortfalls where across the state folks are being authorized for a certain amount and only being delivered half of what they're authorized for because
Hey,
of the lack of providers.
can I say something real quick? Can you hear me?
Sure, go right ahead.
Listen, so here's what I advise you to do because it's what happened to me. Go to your Medicaid managed care portal and look up who's ever in your family that you're taking care of. So in my case, I looked up for my son because I was checking on something else. And I happened to see that he was being enrolled in the Humana managed care program. That was literally on the same day that I enrolled him in the dual special needs United Healthcare plan. And I was like, great, yet another hornet's nest I'm going to have to face. But I advise you all, if you have Medicaid, you go to this website. You should be going to this website and you should be checking on the status of that Medicaid at least once a year. Go in right now, go down to the bottom and see what plan that your child is being enrolled in. I would imagine most of you are already, the process has begun for most of you, and you'll be able to see it. Then you can't do anything on the website, but you can call them and then they'll walk you through. If you don't want it and you want to go back to straight Medicaid, they'll call you this term. It's called voluntary. Like with me, they said, oh, you're voluntary. Okay, you want to go back to straight Medicaid? Not a big deal. And then they read you a prefab statement that says, if you change your mind, call us back and we'll put you in someplace. But do that now. Just don't be curious about it. Go do it. It's right there.
Can you put the number in the chat? I'm sorry, I'm not like, I don't
Yeah,
have
I put
anybody
the,
else.
I put
People
the
have that
link.
phone number.
I put the link to Florida Medicaid managed care. And once you go to the link, the phone number pops up on the web portal. But everybody should have an account and you should be logging in and you should be checking on your dental services. You should be checking on your Medicaid status. You should be, on top of this, and you'll see if that process has started for you. My son was being enrolled in Humana, but he's not anymore.
Melissa, for timing purpose, because we only have 15 minutes, I wrote your email address in the chat, but I do suggest that everybody in this call that is not receiving the letters and the emails of Melissa, make sure that she has your email. So if please, you can email directly to her. Melissa, if you can repeat your.
I just put my email in the chat so you guys could have it, but you'll see it. I just put it in there. Melissa's email, it's mszaeda@jnmwsc.com, but it's in there. So
and the other thing, and sorry to interrupt everybody, is that I like very much of your advocacy that you are very clear in your goals and the specifics of what we are advocating for. And in the chat, many people have asked what are the talking points that you want us to be focused on. So if you can repeat those talking points.
She can repeat that, but then I'll also be sending out a newsletter with all that information as well. And then Daniel, to answer your question, we'll be letting everybody know when we'll be going to Tallahassee. And of course, we would want you to go up there. Go
yes.
ahead,
yeah, absolutely. The big thing that we want to make sure that is getting across to the legislators, to your delegates, that there is a difference between a person with a disability, just a general disability, and a developmental disability. We are a very small niche, a very small subset of the disability population. Over 4.5 million people in Florida have a disability, have a classified disability. Less than 36,000 are on the iBudget waiver program. And within the Agency for Persons with Disabilities, which only serves people with developmental disabilities, APD should be APDD. They have less than 62,000 people between the wait list and the waiver. And those people had developmental disabilities. So they had their own special agency, even though there's over 4.5 million people in Florida with a disability. Less than 62,000 right now have been identified and are within the Agency for Persons with Disabilities. Autism, spina bifida, cerebral palsy, intellectual disability, which used to be referred to as mental retardation with an IQ of less than 70. Down syndrome, all of those are considered developmental disabilities. And we want to make sure that the legislators understand that it's a very special niche of the disability community, or a small subset of the disability community. That's very important. The other thing is Medicaid. If you have been affected by the Medicaid unwinding, if your loved one has gotten caught up in that and their Medicaid has been shut off as a result of being caught up within that, they need to hear about that as well. That's super important. If you have not been happy with managed care, JJ, I know you on here. JJ is on managed care and has been tracking the issues that he's been having with that. He and his family have been tracking that. Like the transportation doesn't show up like over 20 something times just this past month alone. Actually, it might have been even more than that because we spoke before the end of the month. And managed care has generally been the actual like model of it is actually not a bad model, but the problem is that it's not enforced. The terms of it are not enforced. Managed care has become the epitome of greed. I mean, that's what it is. They get all of this money, and it's within their best interest to delay services, deny services, discourage services, so that they can keep more of that money. They get to keep a percentage of it that is not spent. And every single month, if you're on a managed care plan, that plan is getting something called a capitated rate for you. They get money up front every month for you. That if you're on that plan, they're already getting paid for you, even if
Before
you're
they
not
even do
accessing
anything.
services. So,
And then
I have a
Oscar,
question.
go ahead, Oscar.
Yeah, my question is, this is like going back a little bit. Is the problem really at the level of the legislature, or is it also a problem with the bureaucracy? Because you talked a lot about how bad things are in DCF and the lack of communication between DCF and APD. These are bureaucratic things. These are things to be discussed with the bureaucrats. So I wonder, which comes first? Dealing with that or dealing with the legislators? Because
it's always a little bit of both.
it is.
If
It
you
is
want, if
both,
you want a
Oscar.
system,
It
if
is
you want
definitely both, Oscar, and that's why on Monday my meeting was with the head of DCF and the Senate President's office. The thing that I have been told by the legislators is that what happens within those state agencies is things that that the legislators can help with. They can help unwrap some of those bureaucracies and unwind some of those bureaucracies. But I already tried to deal with those state agencies on my own. I have made a lot of effort. I have done my due diligence. I've tried to get them to recognize and advocate for the people that they serve under their state agency, and they haven't done that. So I've at this point gone to the legislature because they can actually put pressure on those state agencies. The legislature is also responsible for deciding what happens to our tax dollars, not the state agencies. So, but once they allocate those particular dollars to those state agencies and they're for particular programs, then at that point, it's up to the state agencies to make sure that that money is spent in the way that it's supposed to be spent. But when we have a state agency that had a surplus of over $800 million last year, they're not doing what they need to be doing. Something's not right. That's a lot of money to have left over and have a ton of people on the wait list as well. So it's definitely both. But at this point, the legislature, they're the ones that have the power over the state agencies and what kind of, not entirely, but they definitely have a lot of pull in what can happen within those state agencies. So that's why focusing on the legislators at this point, because just dealing with APD and just dealing with DCF we're not getting anywhere with that. So I'm not going to be dealing with them in that capacity anymore. So
Melissa,
what was that?
it's Linda Rubino. How are you tonight? I
Hi,
have
I'm
a
good, thank you. How are
quick
you?
question because, nothing's ever in the county where we live and we talk about the constituents, and Crystal is a good speaker
Mhm.
and she would speak, but there is never anything in Charlotte County.
There will be. There will be a Charlotte County delegation. It has not been posted yet.
Okay.
It was last year because I spoke at it last year. So I know that they will have another one, but it has not been posted. Not all of the delegations actually have been scheduled yet, but
So
there.
if you want to make sure that she has your information, that way she can let you know when that happens.
She
I do.
does.
I do.
So
And
do you still
also,
want Crystal to speak at other things? Does that help you?
sure. Yeah. Well,
Okay.
it's to help Crystal.
Well,
It's,
I'm saying,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
because
That's
she
what I want.
loves to speak, so she would speak anywhere you wanted her to.
Yeah. No,
Linda, she can speak Monday with Representative Buchanan. I will go.
yes, if you guys, whoever is interested in going to Representative Buchanan's with me on Monday, please make sure that you email me. I put my email in the chat. But we
What
have the
time is
9th.
that?
What?
What time is that?
It's at 3:30.
Okay.
3:30. Yeah. The Sarasota County delegation, in particular, on the 16th. I don't have a time yet. I don't have a time yet.
The school is right there. They're all eating there.
I don't have a time yet for when, I mean, the delegation is from 9 until 2, but we're not going to go and hang out there for that many hours. So I want to kind of narrow it down, but I'm very interested in knowing who wants to go to that. When Manatee counties is scheduled, when Collier is scheduled, I mean, I'm sorry, when Charlotte's scheduled, when they're all scheduled, I would like to for people to be able to go to a number of them and help these guys understand there's a difference between disabilities and developmental disabilities. That, this is a person that's receiving services under the Agency for Persons with Disabilities or waiting to receive services under APD. So that's important. I know that there's a parent who is on that talked to me about doing a targeted postcard campaign on here, but we really do need to have kind of a list of all of the legislators and their contact information in order to do that. So I don't know if anybody has that in particular. I think Stephanie, I know that you said that you were working on that. But if anybody already has that, we would love to have that. There's a couple of other things that I just wanted to address. I'm pretty much at the end of what it is that I wanted to say to you guys, but um, it's important for the for you guys, for families to work together and not against each other. I have been kind of like surprised and saddened in a way by some of the things that I have heard from some family members talking about other families, and um, just that they don't need as much as they're getting, or I need more than what they have. And I can assure you that unless you are intimately involved with that person and their family and stuff, you really don't have a full understanding of what's going on in other people's lives. And I ask that you please, be understanding and kind to one another when it comes to stuff like that, because you guys are all in the same boat and we need to
That's
work.
exactly right. You guys are one group and
Yeah.
everybody just needs to get along and make sure whenever you go to these events or these meetings that you're just smiling and you're talking to the different people, and doesn't matter if it's local or if it's up in Tallahassee, either way, it's just when they see everybody getting along, being happy, talking to them, trying to promote, that all the families get what they need, everybody works together and makes things good happen. It just works a lot better that way.
It definitely does. And just, being together, and like if we're going to do this, targeted campaign of mail outs, going to delegation meetings and really trying to coordinate that. The We the People, by the People, for all the people Facebook group. I hope that somebody has put that link into the chat for people to be on. That last year, Stephanie had all of the delegation meetings posted on there under the events tab, which was wonderful to be able to go to. The ARC of Florida, they also have a tab on their website that shows the delegation meetings, and not all of them have been scheduled at this point. So,
And I'll send out that information in one of the
okay.
newsletters so everybody has those links.
Okay, great. And hopefully you guys all have Aaron's information, Aaron Nangel's information, because I know that he has a wide swath of a humongous email a lot of email
I
addresses.
just try and make sure everybody's informed about what's going on the best that I can.
Yes,
And,
definitely.
you know, we all stand together. It's the best way to go. It just makes things work much better for our group. And you know, everybody just needs to make sure that you just let them know how important it is that everybody's taken care of. Remind them, oh, what they got this much money back last year that they were allocated to actually spend and use, but they didn't. So things like that make a big difference. And again, I can't stress enough that doesn't matter if it's local, it's Tallahassee, just talking to these people over and over and over again gets them to understand a lot better what the needs are and what is required to make everybody happy. And, you know, to make you guys happy that they did their job right. So just always make sure you stand up for yourself.
And you know, we
On that,
have a lot of
your
people
email.
who have
Sorry to
multiple
interrupt.
diagnoses.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm sorry, Abby, go ahead. I didn't realize you were
No,
talking.
no, they are, please, if Aaron can post his email address, in the chat, they are asking for his email address.
Sure,
Okay,
it's
Aaron,
waiverinfo@gmail.com. It's very easy. Waiverinfo@gmail.com.
waiverinfo@gmail.com. That would be great for you guys to get on.
Melissa, can I jump in real quick?
Sure.
I do want to let everyone on the call know that our right now bi-weekly We the People by the People for all the people meeting is tomorrow at 3. If you join the Facebook group, that is an event, and I actually just posted it. So if you're fresh there, you'll be able to hit the link right away. And I did go ahead. I spent all day yesterday updating the House and the Senate. So we have all the contact information, which I'll put out on the Facebook page. And I definitely, if there's a postcard campaign, that would be a fabulous addition to go into these legislative meetings. And I want to say again that all of our legislature is still in-house. So it's not too late to give them a call. You may sit down and talk with an aide at this point because they are getting busy to head into session. But speaking with your legislature where you live has a huge impact. So when you go to Tallahassee, they've seen you, they've heard you.
Yep.
And our group is really, we're family led. We're a family led group. And if you are unfamiliar with the process and all of this sounds overwhelming, that's what our group is really there for, is to show how simple it can be to just be a voice, and to make it not seem overwhelming. So I hope that you'll join us. If you don't have Facebook, go ahead and give your email to Melissa, and she does help us a lot by getting some of the relevant information out to her email list. And I really just wanted to say, like, there's 262 people left on the call. My goodness, what an impact we would have if we could all just reach out and get in touch with our legislators.
Yep, and I can't stress that enough. I keep saying it over and over again. This amount of people makes a big difference. If you just contact your local legislator, if you end up going up to Tallahassee and different times we do it, just the amount of people always makes a huge difference. I mean, I remember back in, I think it was around 2012, and they cut so much funding. They cut the providers' pay. They did all this crazy stuff. So what did we do? We got busloads of people. We went up to Tallahassee and we got them to switch it all back. And you know, that it's powerful. It's powerful, powerful. I just can't stress it enough that you all really understand the power that you have all by yourself.
Absolutely. And There's one other thing that had kind of come up last year and then again this year, and this is more of a personal thing for me, and I just wanted to put this out there because I guess it was like on somebody's Facebook or whatever, that a big part of my motivation is because I have a company and I'm trying to save my company. And I want to assure you that that
Not it.
is, that's not the case. I do have a lot of wonderful support coordinators that work for me, and they have dedicated their lives also to working with,
Okay, go ahead.
sorry, I'm getting that feedback. Okay.
Yeah. But we are going on an hour now as well.
Yeah. But I do have an interest in keeping, good support coordinators in play because it does take a while to learn this job. And the longer that they're there and they form the relationships with the people and families and stuff, our goal is to always try to get to a point where the families at least feel that they have somebody like us in their corner to help with advocating and being resourceful, that you're not alone. And that's something that is a cornerstone of the waiver program. And it's not a cornerstone of the managed care program. It's just not part of their model. So just, kind of keeping that in mind. And then also the other providers that are providing services to the waiver recipients and stuff. People that have been around for a long time, they have, dedicated their life to serving this particular population. And I think that everybody who is on here that has a loved one with a developmental disability would agree that it doesn't really work well when you have a revolving door of providers and a revolving door of resources of people that are supposed to be resourceful for you. You want to be able to have people that you get to know, that you get to trust, that you are comfortable with. And that takes people being dedicated and staying in these positions. So being able to support the provider base is very important. And that's where this whole collapsing of what's occurred with the Medicaid has been so horrifically impactful to the providers of the waiver program and also CDC recipients. So it's just had a massive, very negative impact. So I want to just impress again, getting legislators to understand the difference between a person with a developmental disability and just general disabilities. And then also get him to realize, like, the Medicaid, if you've been affected by the Medicaid unwinding, please speak with your legislative office. And it's fine when you talk to their aides get that information to the senator and to the House representative. That's their assistant, basically. They're not going to just take your information and completely ignore it. They will give it to them and let them know. So if you've been affected by that, please say that. And then also having providers that we want to have a good, solid base, a provider base to choose from. You guys want to be able to have people that you can count on and rely on and that you are comfortable with and are trustworthy and are compassionate. That takes time we got to build that up as well. And none of it is impossible, but it's also just, remembering you guys do have a lot of pull. It's just a matter of doing it and being the lobbyist, and getting what we want in return for your lobbying. So please talk to your local legislators. Please let them know your story, your situation, what's important to you about your loved one. Help make it personal. Help them become our champion. That's what we want them to do. And then when I'm in Tallahassee and I'm meeting with them, it's going to appear as if, you guys are all right there. These are the people that I've been telling you about. Now they get to see you. They get to hear from you. It's so important. So please, let's have a solid, like, legislative session this year, and let's make sure that we educate the legislators and really get them to be our champions and focus on, the ones that really do have the heart to help. So please make sure of that.
Those of us to this whole meeting, not new to having disabled, developmentally disabled children, where do we begin in our region? Like, we're in Broward. There's a lot of us on this call in Broward County.
Mm-hmm.
So if this group has been going on for a long time, we need to find out, how do we get to those people? So we don't reinvent, we don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
We don't have competing groups. So how would we do that?
I think probably like if you're able to be in with, the weekly meetings that the family group is having that Stephanie was just talking about tomorrow. Stephanie, are those going to start, or Tom, are those going to start becoming weekly meetings again after the session starts? Is that what you guys are planning on doing? I don't know if they're still on. That's something that
I'll be sending out information in the newsletter
Okay.
with links and stuff to those meetings. So that way all of you guys can have that information as well.
Do you know our email addresses? So we get part of, how do we get our email addresses to you so we become part of the news?
Simply go to waiverprovider.com, waiverprovider.com, and then right on the front page on the right-hand side, you'll see a link that'll say our newsletter. And then all you do is put your email in there. And nobody will ever call and try and sell you anything. They'll just send you out some information and some news so you know what's going on.
That's the
We
important.
all know APD doesn't like to tell everybody what's going on, but I sure do.
Right.
Can I ask a quick question, Aaron and Melissa?
Go right ahead.
Of course.
Yes, okay. My son has been on SSI for many years, and he's in one of the programs down in Broward. And my concern is because you're speaking a lot about the Medicaid, and within the last 2 months, Social Security has contacted us and let us know that because he's been on it for so long that they needed to get him off of SSI, and he's now on Social Security disability, which is now, it looks like it's getting him off of Medicaid, and he's now on Medicare. Right now, I think he also has Medicaid, but that may only be till the end of January.
Does
that affect my med waiver?
Yes. So when that happens, when somebody's Medicaid, when their SSI ends, their Medicaid attached to that SSI also ends. That's where you have to do the application to the Department of Children and Families. It is supposed to be a smooth transition. They call it an ex parte, that they're supposed to, because they know that they were already Medicaid eligible under SSI, and now they need to have their Medicaid under the Department of Children and Families. And then they should put them under, or put your son under full Medicaid through DCF.
Okay.
Keep in mind, if you guys have questions, don't be afraid to send an email. We have different people that can answer questions for you and help you with things like that.
So who should I send that
unfortunately, it's getting a little bit late, and I have to go pick up my nephew. So I'm going to have to.
Yeah, you can sign off, Aaron. I'm still on the Zoom. So, but thank you so much.
If you guys need to get a hold of me or anything, feel free to, and I'll always be there to help. I hope you all have a wonderful night.
You too. Thank you.
Cecil had little.
Yeah, so you could go ahead and do you have a support coordinator?
Yes.
All right. Have you talked to the support coordinator about this?
I have not
We didn't realize we needed to.
Okay. Yes, definitely do. If you're on the waiver or on CDC and your son or daughter is getting SSI and Medicaid through that, and that is ending, and now they're going to be under regular Social Security, please make contact with the support coordinator. That support coordinator will help with getting the application in. And also there are particular forms that support coordinator is supposed to submit to DCF so that DCF recognizes, oh, this is a iBudget waiver recipient. There's particular forms that the coordinator needs to submit. So please make sure that you speak with that person. Okay?
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. And I mean, you guys have my email in the chat. Also, Aaron said that waiverinfo@gmail.com, that would put you on his email list, and then he will send out information.
I just won't be back.
And then also, if you guys are able to kind of sign on with that Facebook group that Stephanie and Tom lead, that's a good way for you guys to all kind of be connected and stuff if we're in that. Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
Will we get a copy of this recording?
If I can figure out how to do that, sure. And
Oh,
I
you
don't
can-
know, like how, like if I don't know that I have your email address. Did you get the thing from the link from Aaron?
No, I got it from my support coordinator.
You did. Okay. I'm gonna
Melissa, I know how to do it. You need to save the chat. I don't know who put the AI on. I don't know if you can about the transcription. That should be just automatically saved in a Zoom folder. But
Okay.
if you go on those three dots and save the chat, all of this chat that's in here will be saved. I have to do that for someone.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and I actually, Melissa, I sent you my email address
Okay. All right, then I'll put that
in the chat.
Yep. Okay,
Okay,
perfect. I
great.
just saved it, so thank you for that. But
Okay,
but
what three
also please try to get into that Facebook group if you can, if you're on Facebook.
I did.
Okay.
I did.
Okay. All right, you guys.
hello?
Yes.
Quick question about SSI.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, so we have two boys with autism diagnosed at age 3. They're 20 and 22, and they've been on SSI since their 18th birthday, as 100% disabled on their 18th birthday. Is SSI going to run out on them?
So I don't know as far as like, SSI running out. I know that that's been, a concern of people about Social Security running out, that kind of thing. I can't answer that question in particular, but right now, as long as they have SSI, they're going to maintain Medicaid. If their SSI ends and it ends because you are, hang on, what is this? I want you to start AI companion. I don't even know what that is. It says somebody asked me to do that. Change permit. I don't even know what that is. So, anyway, if their SSI ends because they start collecting Social Security under a parent as the adult disabled child of a parent who is either retired or the adult disabled child of a parent who has passed away, then at that point, the SSI would end, the Medicaid attached to it would end, and then you would need to apply to the Department of Children and Families to get Medicaid through Florida.
I see. Okay, so until we start collecting. So mom is going to start collecting at next year. But would they necessarily start collecting under her if she starts collecting her own?
Not necessarily like right away, not necessarily right away, but if she's going to start collecting Social Security, it's definitely a conversation that you want to have with Social Security.
Yeah, as much fun as that always is. Yeah, thanks.
I know it is. But this way, because one of the things that's a benefit to going on to Social Security is that you eventually get Medicare, and that opens up, more opportunities, more options, I should say, for doctors and medical services.
Sure. Sure. And back to what you all were saying about, contact your legislators and so on and so forth. It really does work.
It does.
We've done it twice in our life, and both times the results have been pretty astounding. Once it just got the post office fixed like immediately after we'd been banging in our heads for 6 weeks. The other one was I talked to an aide of our Senator Marco Rubio. He had a Zoom office hours. I signed up for it, and I mentioned to the aide that we don't think our SSI is right for
Let me
it.
finish the meeting.
And we had gone 3 rounds with the local office, and we'd done all their paperwork, read all the forms, and it just still didn't seem like he was right. And his aide wrote an email, not a very big email, but it coming from his office to the local SSI office director. All of a sudden, we're talking to a helpful SSI agent who finds things in the file like, oh, look, we've got your son as the owner of your house. My 19-year-old son with autism never worked a day in his life. They filled out the paperwork some way that said he owned our house. Wonder why he's not getting his full benefit. So anyway, it does get stuff straightened out. Those bureaucracies listen to their legislators that control the funding that keeps them working.
Yes, definitely. They do, and they have to. The legislature is, who kind of makes up all the rules and the regulations and stuff like that that those state agencies have to abide by. But
Right.
we can help with educating the legislators so that they can help the program, help the people of the program. That is the mission, that's the goal. That's what we need to accomplish this legislative session. So please, the delegations, even if you're like, oh my God, the thought of getting up and speaking in front of people, I feel the same way. I really like just being on here, like kind of makes me very nervous, but standing up in front of these guys and talking to them, and, I don't want to look foolish and stuff like that, but we have to get up there and help them understand. But it's a lot, it really is very impactful when you go to their office, when you meet with them there, you bring your loved one or bring a few, bring a couple of people or something. If you have a loved one that attends if your child's in school, at a day program, if you're in other groups, and you have people that, you guys can go together, maybe you have one person that's going to, be able to get the main points across. Developmental disabilities are different than disabilities, and we don't need our folks to get caught up in Medicaid unwinding. And we need good, solid providers. We need a good, solid provider base so that, people that provide services with integrity and compassion to be able to have those folks to choose from for the people that are served by this program. If we get those points across to the legislature, then when I'm up there and other folks like myself that are advocating, we're carrying that message still. And I'm going to be able to be like, hey, so and so, I know that, these folks met with you in your office, and these are the people that I'm talking about right now to you. So it just helps them to all kind of connect the dots and really put it all together. So please don't think that, oh, there's enough people that are doing this and whatnot. There's not. There's never enough. We need more. We need everybody. It's kind of an all hands on deck. We already have some momentum going, but please help to continue to add to it and help to keep it going. I can't stress that enough.
And I don't mean to sound cynical, but
Yeah.
have you gotten to the stage of identifying, kind of like the election we just went through? There are people who are already in our corner who've got the message, they understand, and that's great. And we need to keep them pumped up and in our corner. And then there are the ones that are kind of on the fence, undecided, might be swayed by a human story, and we need to work on those people and focus on those people.
Mm-hmm.
And then in Florida, I'd be willing to bet we have a large number of representatives who you're just wasting your breath on. When you're talking about a group of 60,000 people that's, spread out all over the state, they've got bigger fish to fry, and their constituencies would much rather just see our funding cut, and we just deal with it however we deal with it on our own.
Can I jump in there? We make sure that we educate those legislators and we focus on the ones who have the heart to help, and we focus on the decision makers and the deciders. We focus on the people that have the power to make the good decisions and the things that are going to be positive positively impactful to the people of this program. I agree. Like, there's no point in wasting time with certain, people that are just, they're not familiar, they're too new, they're too overwhelmed, they have other interests, they're not going to help. So focusing on the people who can, and yes, we already do have some champions. And I think that if anybody's able to be on that meeting tomorrow, the one that they have on Fridays at 3, that We the People for All the People, and I do help them. I send that link out each time that they have that. If you're able to be on that and helping to identify those people where you're living at, yeah, I mean that's what's going to help. But we have to keep the lines of communication open, and we have to work with one another. So,
Can you hear me?
yes, I can hear you. Whoever you are.
Okay, my name is Sabrina Say, and I have a son. He was born 25 weeks he has developmental disability and he's disabled. Okay, about probably like the middle part of this year, I had signed him up for United Healthcare dual complete PPO SNAP, and he still have his Medicaid, in which he also received money from me because I'm disabled as well. So, but I haven't received anything about switching over to that. It's going to switch over to the managed care. I haven't received nothing like that.
United is already a managed care plan. That's why. So the switching over to the managed care plan is general right now. What's happening is for the people that have had just straight Medicaid who have not been on a managed care plan. United Healthcare is a managed care plan. That's why you haven't received any additional information.
Okay, so
Now,
do he need to stay on regular Medicaid and get
Well,
off the managed?
if you're benefiting from United's services and stuff, if you guys are already situated with that, then you can, stay under that. But for everybody else who's on like straight Medicaid, who's not on a managed care plan, those are the people that are being switched to a managed care plan it'll be effective February 1st. So.
Okay, but will that affect his because he's also with APD iConnect?
No, it won't. No, it's actually two separate things. The managed care that we're talking about right now is just for the medical. However, there is a managed care pilot program that is going on for the people on the wait list. And yeah, so it's two different managed care type programs that we're talking about there. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and
Hello.
a question
Hello.
I had earlier about the managed care. We're also on United for our son who's on the waiver. He was in a group home for 8 months up to about a month ago. Don't get me started on that experience. But anyway, he's home now with in-home services. Are his in-home services through APD in any way being affected by the choice of United versus the other choice?
No, it's separate. That right now with United is just a medical side of it. His just like doctors and stuff like that. The iBudget waiver is separate, and that is not under managed care at this point.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We they deserve every penny they get and more. So I don't want to do anything that would cut their pay.
Yeah. Because I've had my provider with my son. I've had her ever since her family. I've had them ever since my son was like 14 or 15 years old, and he's 27.
Okay. Yeah.
And he just got on the iBudget in 2010 when I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. That's what made him get off the wait list, and they gave me the iBudget.
Yeah. Yeah. The crisis.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes. Hello.
Hi. My name is Wanda Jamin. I am a consumer with APD. I'm also the guardian of my two grandchildren that are in the spectrum. I have had for over 2 years an immense problems with the Miami field office. And the reason that I'm saying this is that you said go to legislatures. I try to go to Marco Rubio. He says that's federal. I did work with the legislature for District 106, Fabian Basabi. He tried, and all we need an oversight because it's not only the legislatures not listening, it is APD itself not listening to the clients. I have been retaliated upon because I reported the director to APD. I mean, I have been denied services, even Pampers of that sort. I know my coordinator is on somehow. I am basically, my name is Wanda Jamin, and I have sent over 2 years, Governor DeSantis, all the legislatures. I have been trying. They fighting me tooth and nail, hearing after hearing, line on the oath. I mean, I don't know if speaking to people, I think when you speak, that we get punished. And this is what's going on in my case. And I would like to be involved more in with the delegation and say my story to a lot of people, because I'm 61 years old and I raised my grandchildren, both autistic. They medically homebound. And my health has been deteriorating. This is from morning to night, trying to talk to somebody. No calls, no answers, denials. I don't know what else to do. It's like if I was working and, just trying to get to advocate for myself. I happen to have cerebral palsy, but I could speak. It affected me in kind of, in the mobility kind of sense. I don't think that they like people that have disabilities that could speak for themselves and I could advocate. And when you do, what they do is retaliation. So, I put my email in the chat. I think I wrote a little bit about this, and I would like somebody to please reach me because it's been abusive. They have come to my house, have gone to my grandchildren's room, opened doors and taken pictures. They refuse to give me pictures back. Just before the hearing, the lawyer for APD, Brett Taylor, calls me and tells me we destroyed the pictures. But you weren't supposed to do this. I have no money to get a lawyer. The OIG for APD in Tallahassee tells me get a lawyer. How can I get a lawyer if I don't even have money to eat or live? And this is the problem that I'm having. I don't have anything, and they take advantage of people that can't fight. And sometimes when you speak up and advocate for yourself and for others, they retaliate. And it's like they don't get back to you and they do things how they want to do.
Well,
I even
Wanda, there's
Besides.
definitely, I'm so sorry to hear that all of that has happened. That sounds awful. And it's not the first time that I've heard family members tell me that they feel that they've been retaliated against. That's crap. But again, this is the community. You've found the right place, the right people. And even though we're not a bunch of lawyers and it's families and stuff, but we can be a good resource for hopefully helping you. There are some disability rights organizations that are in the state of Florida to help, but I think that probably being in with this group of people, also being involved in that group that they have on Facebook and being able to contact and speak with other people. But when we're all together and there's other people that are in the same situation that you are, it's definitely we're going to be stronger together and be able to try to exact some change. That's what needs to happen, because you certainly don't need to be retaliated against. You need to have services that are reliable. You need to have providers that are good, that are compassionate, that are, helpful. And we want to make sure that the legislature is hearing the issues it is that you're having with this particular state agency. Now, I know Marco Rubio is more on the federal level and stuff, and I don't know if you have had any contact with Danny
I had, and that's what he told me. They cannot help me because they in the federal level.
Right.
And
But
I have tried
in
even the
Miami,
district attorney. I can't talk to nobody, not even the Santos office.
well,
They
and in
block me in every
Miami,
single way.
Danny Perez is going to he's in Miami, and he is our next speaker of the House. He has a brother with autism. He has expressed a true interest in helping, and so we want to get him to be one of our champions. We can.
Okay.
There are legislators out there who do want to help, but we've got to help them. They're not just going to do it without having a crowd of us behind them. They need us there so that they can, when they get to Tallahassee, they're going to talk with the other members up there and try to work together to fix these problems. And that's where somebody like me comes in, and Alan Abramowitz and Aaron, when we're also up in Tallahassee, we're able to carry these messages with us and remind them of the people that came to visit them in their offices and at their delegations and stuff. Those are the things that we will do, we will focus on. And I am so sorry. I don't want to cut this off. I really want to keep going, but I have another meeting that I have to get into at 7:00, and it's 6:58. So
Okay.
I apologize about that, you guys. But anyway, please make sure that we have your email address. Email Aaron. Get on that. Get in that Facebook. I'm gonna try to figure out how this recorded, and I'll send it out to everybody, and then you can have the transcript and hopefully the recording, and go from there.
It's much appreciated. And thank you. And thank you all for being here for us. Thank you so much.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you guys. All right, bye. Have a good
All
night.
right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.